Hey, what's up guys? So in this video, we're going to run through Uniden's current lineup of windshield mount radar detectors. Now they offer a lot of different options, and I found that overall Uniden's detectors are a really good bang for the buck. I'm going to link to all the detectors that we talk about here in this video down in the video description. And in this video, we're going to take a look at all their different options. We're going to take a look at the main key features for each one, how they compare, what you get as you start stepping up with different models at different price points, as well as ultimately help you decide which one is going to be best for you. So starting off, let's begin with the Uniden DFR1. This is a super simple and basic detector at only $50. Now it doesn't have a ton of features, performance isn't particularly great, it doesn't have a modern K-band filter, it's not updatable, and it doesn't even have a settings menu to go in and configure it. There's just a couple different options available in the detector. I know it's only $50, so it's really inexpensive, but I think most people are probably better off getting something a little bit nicer. Next, there's the Uniden DFR3. Similar idea, but it's got an upgraded display. Plus it adds pop detection, which most people don't really need. Now I've tested this detector previously back when it was called the LRD450, and performance is kind of limited to be expected, but we've actually found that it beats out the Escort 9500iX in long-range performance, believe it or not. And this is a detector that you can find for $85. Now don't expect performance is going to be comparable to a current $200 or $300 detector, but for something under $100, if you're driving in maybe easier, flatter terrain, this could be a viable option. Again, the K-band filtering is probably going to be one of the biggest weaknesses here. It doesn't have a modern K-band filter, but if you're looking for a really inexpensive detector, this could be something to consider. I know it's currently sold out, but according to BRD, he is getting some more in stock, and so I'll link to the DFR3 as well. Next, there's the Uniden DFR5. I've tested it back when it was called the LRD750, and it had the same performance as the LRD450, or what's now the DFR3. But with this detector, you get a slightly fancier display with the signal strength bar graph. Plus you actually have a settings menu to go in and control the detector because it does have a few more options. It's going to add things like voice alerts, you can individually turn certain bands on and off, plus you have a little bit more control over the auto mute capabilities. I'm not seeing it available anywhere, but it's listed online at $129. Next, there's the DFR6 and 7. These detectors are actually currently discontinued, but you'll still find them on Amazon, so I want to go ahead and talk about them real quick. Now, these detectors add an LNA, a low noise amplifier, for even better performance, and I do find the performance kind of steps you up now to more of a mid-tier detector. I found these detectors to be really good at 34.7, for example, the weaker on 33.8 and 35.5. Plus, they add a more advanced K-band filter to really cut down on those false alerts. You'll notice the display actually adds a 2-digit frequency display, which can be helpful. But again, the DFR6 has since been replaced by the DFR8. And then the DFR7, it's the same idea as the DFR6, but it adds a GPS chip built in, which is really helpful if you do any driving around town to give you things like manual GPS lockouts or low-speed muting or red light camera alerts. So the DFR7 was a much better city detector. Now, the only ones that you're going to still see remaining on Amazon because the detectors are discontinued, they're ones that are honestly overpriced, and so they're still not selling. And so you may see them online for like $300. Here in 2022, I definitely would not recommend buying a DFR7 new for $300. There's better options available for the money. Now, the DFR6 and 7 have since been replaced by the DFR8 and 9. They've got the same platform under the hood, but they have a new case. They've got a color OLED display and a couple additional helpful new features. You'll find things like an ambient light sensor so it can automatically adjust the display brightness between daytime and nighttime. There's individual control of the sensitivity for each radar band. You can control the alert priority between multiple signals, and it's got an all threat display on the left side of the screen to actually show you multiple signals simultaneously. And there's also some nice little things like custom alert tones or better auto mute volume control levels. The DFR9 with its GPS built in actually adds lockouts available for KA band if you've got KA speed signs in your area. And again, the DFR8 and 9, these are the detectors that are now more of Uniden's mid-tier detectors. Now the DFR8, you can find it online for about $189, and I really like this detector as, say, a California detector because it's really strong on 34.7, and you can disable K-band because they pretty much don't use K-band in California, so it's a good option to get good 34.7 performance without some features you don't necessarily need. And then the DFR9, I like it overall as a better pick for most drivers. I like it when it's usually around $200 or so, but currently I've been seeing them when shooting this video around $300, and at that price, I think it's actually really overpriced. You can get an R3 at that price point, and that's going to be a much better pick. But if you can find a DFR9 around $200 or so, it's going to be a good mid-tier detector for both highway and city driving. Next, let's move on to the R-series detectors. These ones have a completely different platform under the hood, and the performance is going to be much better than what you'll see out of any of the DFR series detectors. Now, beginning with the R1, again, you're going to have much longer range than you've got with any of the other detectors. The performance is going to be much better. It adds things like photo radar detection, and overall, it's an excellent highway detector. Now, it lacks GPS, so it's not going to be a very good option if you do a lot of driving in cities, but on the highway, it can be a really solid choice. It typically retails for around $200, and if you do a lot of driving, let's say maybe in back roads, curvy terrain, highways, things like that, not so much in the city, the R1 can be a great choice. Now the next option is going to be the R3. The R3, in my opinion, is a legend. This is a fantastic detector. It's the R1 plus GPS, which makes it much more well-rounded, so it's going to be good for city driving as well. It offers an amazing level of performance for the money. You've got good K-band filtering, manual GPS lockouts, photo radar detection, etc. And I think the R3 really hits the sweet spot in terms of both features and performance for the money. In fact, I think it's the best detector that you're going to find under $300. Next, there's the Uniden R4, which is essentially a newer, upgraded version of the R3. It's $150 more. It's got a new case design. It adds a dual LNA design for even longer range than what you'll get with the R3. It gives you automatic GPS lockouts instead of manual. It's got even better K-band filtering with the new auto sensitivity mode. I know the K-band filtering and the false alerts is one of the complaints of the R3. The R4 does do a better job in this regard. It's got improved photo radar detection. It's got support for Uniden's optional wired remote control keypad, as well as support for Uniden's upcoming laser jammers that they're working on. The R4 has Bluetooth built in, though it's not active at this time. Uniden's currently working on some apps, and once those are available, I'm sure they'll release a firmware update. Enable the Bluetooth in the R4, and then you'll be able to use it. The R4 retails for $450, and it's actually the best performing non-aero detector that I've ever tested against your traditional radar sources that you'll see used across the United States. Next, there's the R7. It's based upon the R3, but it adds a second rear-facing antenna to give you the directional arrows. Additionally, it's got more false alert filtering options than what's available in the R3, and it costs just a few bucks more than what you'll see from the R4. In fact, I would personally pick the R7 over the R4 just to get the arrows because I find them to be so useful in practice. And like the R3, I find the R7 to be a killer bang for the buck. It's going to give you great long-range performance. It's got GPS and arrows and photo radar detection. And if you're looking for a detector under $500, it's hard to go wrong with the R7. It's a great choice. Finally, let's take a look at the upcoming Uniden R8. It's a lot like the Uniden R7 with the arrows, but it adds the same improvements that are available in the R4, such as the even longer range detection and all of the new features. This detector, it's not available yet. It was just announced back at CES, and it's going to retail, they're saying, for $700. Now, it was expected to become available around April or so. It looks like due to supply chain issues, that is going to be most likely pushed back. But I've had a chance to beta test it for the past couple months, and I'm actually really liking the R8 so far. Now the R7, honestly, I think is still going to be a better bang for the buck at just under $500. But if you're looking for even longer range, even better K-band filtering and fewer false alerts, I think the upcoming R8 is going to be a great choice. It's been my personal daily driver, and I've been really liking it. Now, once it's available for pre-order, I don't know when that is, but once it's available for pre-order, I'll go ahead and share my test results with the detector. I'll share my complete review, etc. And to get notified of when the R8 review is available, make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel, and I'll go ahead and share it with you guys once the detector is available for pre-order. And so with that said, yeah, that's a quick look here at Uniden's current lineup of windshield mount radar detectors. Down in the video description, I'm going to have links to all the different detectors if you'd like to read more, learn more about them, or purchase any of the detectors that I talked about here. And so with that said, yeah, thanks so much for watching. Hope you guys are all doing well, and I'll see you in the next video.